Yes, we go ahead.
So my topic is a very basic topic. It's dislocated intraocular lens management. Now, if I go on to the theory, there are multiple, it will be entire webinar, how to manage this and manage aphakia. So I've just kept it to a very basic thing and showing two videos. So when can this occur? This can happen intraoperatively. It can happen in the early post-op period, or it can have a late occurrence. So if it's happened, now what to do? Now, obviously, no cataract surgeon wants this to happen, but it happens even in the best of hands. If it happens intraoperatively, first of all, do not panic. Secondly, do not fish. That's the most important thing. If you go on doing that, then you're making it worse. So what to do? You need to just close up as it is, let it go down, and refer to a VR friend. And you still end up having excellent visual outcome, which is 20/20 vision. At the end of the day, what you want is a happy patient, a happy cataract surgeon, and not last but not the least, a happy VR surgeon. So I'm going to be showing two videos. First is a dislocated acrylic lens, which I ended up repositioning. And the second one is a PMMA lens, which I removed and did an SFIL using a Gore-Tex suture. So this is the first video. Now, this was a myopic patient who had a late dislocation. He had a very small pupil, so I used iris hooks to make sure that there is a sufficient rhexis margin. Once I was sure, I went on to do the vitrectomy. He had undergone previous barrage laser, of which you can see the marks. And the idea was to do, also check the periphery along with doing vitrectomy and do a careful vitrectomy and clean up the periphery. Then I checked the periphery by depression to see if any other suspicious lesions were there. And then further, I went on to add a little bit of laser augmentation wherever I felt the need. Then again, the IOL part was done. I made side ports according to my convenience. I made 3 here, but of course, I think you can do it 2 as well. So I'm using a 25 gauge system. Using the 25 gauge forceps, I feel that 23, you can hold it better, but I was able to, with a couple of tries, I was able to grasp the haptic and bring it up. And then using another 25 gauge forceps, I held it with a firmly from the other side. And then using a dialer, I scooped it in within the rhexis margin and I put it in the AC first, making sure it doesn't fall back. Both the haptics were pushed into the anterior chamber. And after injecting visco, then I did the manipulations to put it in the sulcus. So just with the side ports, I pushed the inferior haptic into the sulcus and then dialed the superior haptic accordingly. And making sure that it was well centered. Once I was happy with the orientation, I went ahead and I did a visco wash. My infusion was on. I did a visco wash, but then I noticed there was a little decentration. But it was still there was some level of stability, so I continued the wash. And again, with my infusion on, I dialed it into such a place where I thought it was had a reasonable level of stability, and again checked it by doing washing it again from the anterior chamber. And then finally concluding the case without the need of any sutures, after making sure that it was well stable. The second video is where I it was a PMMA lens. And again, this patient had a late presentation. Now this was stuck in the inferior retina. Again, this was a myopic patient. I went on to do the vitrectomy. The important part here is to not pull the IOL and cut around it. And also I had treated those lattices that you can see in the background a month earlier, so that the risk of an RD is much less. Once it is freed, then being a myopic patient, again, do a very nice peripheral vitrectomy. I do not compromise on a nice base shaving, even if it's an SFIL or any sort of thing. Again, making sure that there is no lesion, I've not missed anything. clearing up the vitreous in the periphery. And then for the PMMA lenses, I like to inject this PFCL. Now the advantage is if I end up, if the while picking up, if it falls, it decelerates while going down. And secondly, it helps to float the IOL like it's shown in this video. Makes it easier for me to grasp the IOL. And then again, doing meticulous base shaving near at the 3 and 6 o'clock positions, where I intend the Gore-Tex sutures to sit. Then moving on to making side ports and injecting visco, making an AC entry and making my scleral tunnel complete. Then again, with a 23 gauge forceps, I pick it up and then bring it out from the scleral entry that I've made. Now here I try to be as atraumatic as possible. Then again, then removing the PFCL. And then I like to use this Ashwin marker if I'm doing a single PMMA lens, which is with 2 eyelets. It makes me make the marks according to the pupillary center. And again, using the same 23 gauge trocars that I have used for vitrectomy to make the sclerotomies, which is around 2 to 3 millimeters apart. From the limbus, these are at a sulcus orientation, which is 2 millimeters. Now I feed the Gore-Tex sutures with my 23 gauge forceps on each side from the inferior sclerotomy. And I take it out using a McPherson's from the scleral tunnel. Again, injecting visco. And then this single piece IOL with these eyelets, PMA lens. Now on one side, I put the from above down, and the other eyelet, I use it down up. This basically reduces the amount of torsion that is there while fixing these single eyelet IOLs. Same thing on the other side. Now making sure the sutures haven't looped here or there. And then slowly pushing the IOL inside and pulling the Gore-Tex sutures, the leading haptic, to get the IOL in place. It goes very nicely, very smoothly. And then just like you implant a normal IOL, the trailing haptic is pushed in. And the Gore-Tex sutures are pulled to get the IOL centration. And the best part about this Gore-Tex suture is that it's a flexible suture. It's a monofilament suture, and it's used in cardiac surgery. It's been used in ophthalmology since 2012 and 13. There are a lot of publications about it. And tying it is very easy. Manipulations are very easy, and the knots are very soft. So we try to push these knots inside these sclerotomies that we make. But even if they are left outside, most of the times they don't cause any problems because it's a very soft suture. So titrating the tension on both the sides, it shouldn't be too tight or too loose. It should just be the right tension. And after cutting these sutures, trimming the knots, I've not had a single instance where I've ended up breaking these sutures. They are so, the strength is so good in these sutures. Then I use these 23 gauge forceps to stuff in the knots. Finally, closing up the sclerotomies with a 7-0 vicryl and the scleral tunnel with a 10-0 nylon. Making sure the IOP is okay, closing up the conjunctiva, and concluding the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Veer, for such a presentation. First of all, I'd like to go to Dr. Dinesh about his comments on this.
Veer, is it 60 Gore-Tex or?
So it's called a CV8 suture. It's a 70 Gore-Tex. The thickness is 70. Yeah, it's called CV8.
I don't have any
Does
personal
this-
experience of using this actually. Whatever SFIULs we do, I've been using. Initially, we used to use 10-0 proline, and now we are using 9-0 proline. And till
I was
now,
also using 90 proline, but then it started off in SN. So whatever starts off in SN, I get a sense of confidence in that.
definitely. It was very nice surgeries and very well done.
One thing.
Congratulate you for this.
One thing Dr. Veer has forgot to mention is when you are using this technique of hanging back the IOL, that I call this as hang back IOL technique. When you are inserting the knots inside the eye, both the knots should go in the opposite direction. If one is inferior, the other should go superior. If you try to bury both of them superior or both of them inferior, the lens will not be in a position, it won't be in a normal position. It will be subluxated. And one more thing, Veer, I'd like to ask you is about the use of PFCL. I'd also like to ask Raman about his experience about using, whether he uses PFCL while removing intraocular lenses or not.
Dr. Sangeet, personally, I don't use it now. The word is now here, because because of the increased confidence, because I will not. But for the young surgeons, I think there's no harm using PFCL. It gives them an extra cushion to the surgeon also, and it takes care of the complications. And I think I don't use it now. The one thing which I apart from the congratulating Veer, that I am not very fond of single piece in the sulcus. I'm a
I also wanted to ask the same thing.
single piece in the sulcus is I don't like because of the UGG syndrome, and I don't know, but I would have replaced it and put a PMMA there or a 3-piece there in the sulcus. But PFCL, you're right, I don't use it anymore. But I want my young fellows, if they want to use, they can use it. I allow them to use it.
One problem that I had with PFCL was like the lens used to tilt towards the edge of the PFCL, and then it will become if you have a very high bubble, it becomes very difficult to retrieve the lens from there. And if you have a small bubble, the lens, when it tilts towards the retina, it tends to injure the retina at that point.
Mithal, can I comment here also in context
Yes,
to what you said?
Yes, sir, please.
We also do not use PFCL now after a certain amount of experience. There are a couple of reasons to it. One is that it increases obviously the cost of the surgery. Second is that I've seen that sometimes PFCL will get stuck to the peripheral vitreous, which you cannot remove at that point of time. And you will see it the next day. Okay, even if you remove them now, again, after resurgery, they might appear another day also. So this is a major reason that I am not using PFCL. So because it tends to get stuck to the vitreous, which will drop back, no matter how much you shake the eye, it will drop back onto the posterior pole later on, which will bother the patient, and you have to gain just for the same reason that you want to remove those bubbles of PFCL.
I also don't use PFCL nowadays, and in fact, of course, the IOL tilts to one side, but with the wide-angle viewing systems, probably you still can see the edge of the lens.
And the best way to hold the, sorry, I'm interrupting. Best way to hold the lens is at a place where the haptic joins the optic.
Yeah.
Here, that is, it is farthest from the retina.
One other
But
good thing he has shown is
the
that
lenses, I just wanted to say, I think I put all different lenses in the sulcus, starting from PMMA, single piece, hydrophilics and hydrophobics, because whatever is inside and has been sent to you like that, sometimes you just end up fixing it into the sulcus. instead of exchanging it all the way, opening the 5 mm or 6 mm incision. And and sometimes the 3-piece will not be available, or you don't want to put a 6.5 mm PMMA. And in my experience, like if you have done a good vitrectomy and cleaned everything from anterior and posterior side, the IULs, they just stay there.
So I would have probably used a 3-piece, but in this patient, I decided to use the same lens because this was around a 27, 28 millimeter eye. So considering that it was that grade of myopia, I thought, I would choose the same lens rather than.
I think in myopia, you should again be not be using single piece lenses in the sulcus because of the larger size of the eye. But one good thing that you have shown is the use of high-risk hooks while you are positioning in the sulcus, because the amount of capsule left is very small. And even for doing a secondary IOL for anterior segment surgeons, I think one thing we should always use iris hooks to see how much capsule is there, and you can very easily and very nicely place your lenses over the capsule. Most of the cases you can avoid doing SF IOL if you use iris hooks.
Late, I'm also using retrofixed iris claw lenses in these situations where there is no capsular support. I've been using it for last almost 5 years and keep a full inventory of that. That's also a good, easy, and quick technique I found.
Especially for anterior segment surgeons.
Just
retrofixated.
One comment.
Also use anterior chamber IOLs.
Just one comment that I would like to add is that very nicely done surgery, Veer. But if I were doing the Gore-Tex, I would have made a scleral flap also. Yes, so it's still large knot. So if you give it a little extra cover with the scleral flap also, it really helps, because over a period of time, sometimes it erodes and comes out, and if it is lying subconjunctival, it's an issue. If you make a scleral flap and then cover it, it is an added protection, especially for Gore-Tex.
Yeah, these days
even
now,
for 9-0, we make a flap.
Yeah, we make it for 9-0 also. We prefer to do it and tuck it, but for Gore-Tex, since it's a thicker flap, thicker knot and a thicker suture, all the more important.
Sometimes difficult to push inside the sclerotomies also.
Yeah, so if it's covered with another scleral flap, it kind of, that is why actually the sclerotomy is made, because one is the suture comes on very horribly large round bodied needles. So those cannot be used to anchor the IOL directly. So which is why we cut off the needles and make this opening with the 23 and use the trocar to take the IOL inside. So this is a technique that we are using, but we use the flaps so that the knots are covered, and later on the issues of erosion and exposure are not there. And not only exposure and erosion causing infection, it will be irritating to the patient also.
Crack.
Yeah, so patient will complain, and then you will not know what to do because you cannot remove it also. So that is avoided by using a scleral flap.
I think this brings to an end.
Yeah.
Dr. Rajan,
I think wants to say something.
Sir, very nicely operated, Dr. Veer. And just a question from the panelist: is there any experience of using the same PMMA lens as a glued IOL rather than taking it out?
this was, I think, with the eyelets.
It is a 3-piece that you can.
Smaller lenses, glued IOLs a little difficult because it gets mocked when you bring it out. So
This one also had the eyelets in the haptic. It won't
so
be.
this will not be able. This particular lens cannot be brought out also and brought under the thing.
If it is a 3-piece, we can do that. Single piece glued is not.
Though Dr. Agarwal has shown Acrisoft used as glued as well, but the problem with the Acrisoft is that it's a smaller lens. So if you try to bring it out and stretch it, it gets morphed and twisted. That issue can be there. And I agree with Dr. Ramandeep. I generally don't like to see these lenses in the sulcus.
And we must watch closely the endothelial cell count post-operatively.